Hello, this is Thawana with On Purpose, and today we're going to share an exciting guest with you guys. So remember, I always want you to like, to share, don't forget a comment, and subscribe to our podcast page. Okay? So we're going to jump right in. Again, I'm Thawana, and this is On Purpose. Here today, I have with me Imani Felton.
Hey guys.
So, Imani, tell us a little bit about yourself, your career,
Mhm.
your faith walk, anything that you want us to know about you.
Okay, so of course I'm Imani. I'm 23 years old. Right now I'm in training to be an RBT. I have an esthetician business for about 4 years now, and also I'm a leader at my local church, and I'm doing that for 4 years also.
Okay.
hmm
So, for those who don't know what RBT is,
hmm
tell them a little bit about
So
that.
it's like a behavior technician. So I recently transitioned to a new job where I'll be doing behavior sessions or therapy sessions with children with autism.
Oh, cool. And you
hmm
guys know my love for autism. I believe that all children can learn. It becomes the responsibility of people like Imani and teachers in the classroom to figure out how they learn, right? Okay. So, Imani, what generation are you?
I'm Gen Z.
She is Gen Z. So, today we're going to have a Gen Z chat. A Gen Z chat. Okay. So, Monty, I'm going to ask you a few questions,
hmm
but don't hesitate to just, you know, cut me off if you need to or to add anything. How important is it to have the right people in your life that are from your generation?
Go ahead.
Because typically, young people look for older mentors and
Mhm.
older people to want to model their lives after, but sometimes there are some amazing people within your own age group that you can want to model and glean from. So how important is it to have someone that is another Gen Z that is living a godly life and upstanding life?
I think it's very important. I think going into my Christian walk, I had a lot of older people around me.
Hmm.
And it was great while it lasted, but eventually, like, I just became like alone and kind of desiring somebody or a certain group of friends that lived the same walk and walked out the same faith that I did.
Hmm.
So I want to say like recently, God has just placed a group of girls just um to connect with me, and it has made a huge difference because now I have somebody to relate to. Even my sense of humor with God, to have people to relate to that, it makes a huge difference. I'm not alone. I have older people in my life. I can see the fruits of their relationship with God,
Hmm.
but it's hard sometimes to see how they got there. And so,
Wow.
walking with people who are walking that same path, that's starting from like ground zero to
Hmm.
like, their relationship with God, it makes it even much easier. And it's
Hmm.
like, hey girl, I'm struggling. Girl, me too. Let's
Oh,
let's let's get
wow.
together. Why are you struggling? Why am I struggling?
Hmm.
And we find ways to help each other and make sure that we're being steadfast and observant to the end. Because
Hmm.
that's really the goal, is to be able to lift each other up. But of course, I have my older generation that I can lean on to with no doubt, and they pick me up in the spirit easily.
Hmm.
So I get a lot of call and text messages from them, so I appreciate that also.
Wow.
hmm
So, Monty, when you guys, how do you cultivate your relationship with your generation? It's certainly time spent as Christians may not look the same for you guys as it
hmm
would probably look for my generation. So, how do you spend time together, growing and feeding your relationship and sharing and bonding? What does that look like when you guys get together?
For us, like right now, we're kind of all in tune into like worship services.
Oh,
So I actually have another set of group of friends. They have They're called the Tent, and so they host worship sessions. And so usually like wherever they go, we kind of go, and they're like Orlando area. And
Really?
so right now my connections with a lot of people are like everywhere,
Mhm.
because of when I went to FCA camp. So I know a lot of people now, and they're kind of just spread it everywhere, and their gifts are everywhere.
Wow.
So we just do our best to, like, if we can pile up in a car and go somewhere to support a
That's
friend
what you do.
that's at a worship service, or we currently like do Bible studies in Leesburg. We get together,
Mm.
once a month, where we can. But it's just a matter of like the simplicity of like getting together, not overthinking. Oh, we got to plan this or plan
Right.
that. It's like, hey, can you be there at that time? Yeah, let's go.
Gotcha.
Um,
So, Monty, you talked about FCA.
hmm
Tell them a little bit about FCA for the
Okay.
ones that don't know what FCA is. Tell us what it is, how long you've been doing it, and certainly the impact that FCA has had on your life.
Okay, FCA is a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So FCA is really in high schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take athletes and they basically like huddle them and pour into them. So it's, I wouldn't say, it's kind of, it's like a miniature Bible study
Yeah.
that they do, and they do activities, fundraisers. And so what I do, because I'm not a sports girly, Arashri Tucker, one of my childhood friends, she invited me to one of their leadership camps for the summer. And so this past year was my third year
Yeah.
going. So that first year, it, like I said, it opened me up to like a lot of new people and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of new places. We're all in Florida, but we're in different places in Florida, and that has made an impact on seeing my generation. I don't think I've ever seen my generation until I was there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I feel like, at least in our local church, it's not a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
So going to FCA, I was like, oh my gosh, it's more,
It's more.
more people,
Look at them. They look like me. They worship like me.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
pretty cool, and it also like just broke the barrier of me um being true to who I am and being true to what age I was.
Right, right, right.
Because I think I had a challenge with like knowing like you want to relax, like you're only 21, like
Mm-hmm.
stop trying to like, you know, full speed like with that
Yeah.
relationship. Like you got to go through the process. It's not like a overnight thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so being around young people that kind of realize that already like made me realize like, all right, Imani, you gotta just take your time, pace
Yeah.
yourself. So it's also made me somewhat of an extrovert also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I can get in a room and kind of just say like, hey, my name's Imani and I love Jesus
And
and
it's
blah
fine.
blah. Before that, I'll be like, hey, my name's
You don't need
Imani.
to speak in tongues. You
Yeah,
don't need to
yeah,
rattle a bunch of Bible scriptures. You can just be Imani. So,
yeah.
Imani, while you talk about that, I think about your parents, your
Mm-hmm.
mom, which is my twin sister, Shawana. She's amazing. And your dad, just a just a thunderous intercessor and
Power.
prayer warrior. He's
Mm-hmm.
just a powerhouse. Your
Mm-hmm.
mom, within her own rights, amazing minister of the gospel, and just they wear so many hats in
Mm-hmm.
ministry. So, Imani, you're not quite a PK kid,
No.
but if there's a level before that, you are. How has that helped you or not helped you in who you are and who you're becoming, and certainly coming from another generation?
Yeah.
Has it, like, how is it with your parents? Are you able to just be honest with them about where you are
Mm-hmm.
you, just what does home life look like when it comes to your spiritual growth and having the parents that you have?
I say it's it's easy with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never felt like I had to have a relationship with God, or I had to like be forced into
Mm-hmm.
my relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
They're very supportive when I make those strives, and of course when I'm steadfast.
Yeah.
And they're very much supportive when I'm not steadfast and when
Mm-hmm.
I'm not striving. So it's honestly, it's been a blessing. I know being grown up in church is not the easiest. Not everybody has the same stories I do, which is
Right.
sometimes heartbreaking to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really every time I see them or just look at them from a distance, I really feel like grace, like God just
Wow.
really had mercy just for me, my siblings too.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have to turn out the way we did, and we didn't have to have
Mm-hmm.
parents and them be steadfast and be true to what they're reading and teaching and live it out
Mm-hmm.
at home
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it's definitely been it's had its cons. I say, you know, they're pretty so when they get them people, you know, have a look,
I love
the
it.
Feltons be on the radar, but other than that,
Wow.
it's been a positive ride. I've
For
enjoyed
sure.
it.
So, Mani, talk about, well, you talked about your age.
Hmm.
So, talk about ministry and where you are in ministry, because Imani is a servant leader. So Imani certainly leads out a ministry at her age, but it didn't just start this year.
Hmm.
So tell us what age you started in leadership and explain a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I started when I was 21. Um, I want to say June because I went to camp right after
Mm.
I got initiated. So 21, and I am the praise dance leader at my church.
Yay!
So I've been dancing since I was 4 at my church. So it's always been like a passion for me. And I want to say like 14, 16 is where I really switched to dancing into ministry.
Gotcha.
So that passion really like developed when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. Um, so like in the midst of doing the praise dance ministry, I tell the girls that are under me all the time, like the last thing I want you to do is dance.
Mm.
That's the last thing.
That's the last thing. Oh my God.
Your prayer, your worship is what matters.
Wow.
So a lot of what I do is I just try to like feed them spiritually as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't become their God, or I don't plan on them idolizing me at all. But if I have the tools to give to them, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so starting out 21, like it was hard because I didn't have the tools.
Wow.
And so I had 5 girls. And so not having the tools, not really having the social skills that I had then, and
Mm.
then being able to like bond with um teenagers that were just 4 or 5 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
it just was hard.
It was
It was
hard.
so hard. And that could be because of first of all, I had nobody around me that age.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, trying to live out God was just tough for me at 21.
Wow.
So I didn't really have the tools. So I wouldn't say I had to like grow up, but I kind of just had to like figure it out because
Mm-hmm.
I'm their leader. And at some point, they're going to look to me for something. And
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just my presence, what I say, how I act,
Mm-hmm.
things I do, the way I
Mm-hmm.
present myself,
Right.
who I'm connected with, all
Mm-hmm.
that matters. And they might not say it, but they're watching
Oh, they are.
because I was watching
Mm-hmm.
really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew all that was happening inside their heads. So it made me, stick out my walk with God and be observant to the end.
Because they're looking up to you.
They're looking up to me, and they might
Mm-hmm.
not say it, and they might not present it with their actions, but they're looking hard. I had one girl, she was like, I was playing like rap gospel music in the youth building, and she was like, I'm watching you. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to live for Jesus. But I'll never forget that because she's watching me, and she
Yeah.
wanted me to know, like, I'm watching you.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so when I connect with people or I do things, that matters to me how they see it or they
Yeah.
perceive it
Mm-hmm.
because it's their relationship with God that makes them want to say yes. Like,
Oh
if
my
Imani can do it
goodness.
at 21 or 20, 22, 23, 24, why can't I do it?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know?
I love it. So Imani, what is your relationship only centered around the dance ministry when it comes to the girls? How else have you found it to be impactful to spend quality time with the girls when it comes to things away from the church? Like, because I believe, how many girls do you have right now?
Right now I have 15, and that's including my babies, my elementary kiddos.
So they started age what?
4.
4 and then go all the way up until
18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have seen about Imani that I love, and I don't know how she does it, but she does. It's not just about the ministry that they serve in. Imani is also very present in their personal lives, their academic
Mm-hmm.
lives, athletics, and things like that. So, talk a little bit about that, Imani, and why you decided to be present for those moments versus it's just church, it's just dance ministry,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm here for. Talk a little bit about why you thought it was important to be present for them outside of ministry.
Um, for me, it's like I want them to understand that God is present no matter where you are.
Wow.
So I see myself as like a living vessel for to be present wherever they are, and then also our best bonding seasons when we're not in prep season.
Wow.
And so I learned to like give them breaks so then I can show up outside of just church and dance
Mm-hmm.
prep. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm always showing up church and dance prep and they're always showing up church and dance prep, then that never gives me the time to show up personally in their lives. I don't have the
Wow.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like right now it's football, cheerleading,
Oh yeah.
volleyball season. So I be traveling everywhere that I can.
Bonnie is
But it,
everywhere.
it it's so cool because I get to see them in a different element. Like
Yeah.
they praise Nancy, do an excellent job when it comes to listening and applying whatever I'm telling them.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to see how they can do that in the real world because
Uh-huh.
that's what
Yeah.
counts. And
Yeah.
um, I first started serving. My first job was at the church.
Mm-hmm.
We serve as
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can come to church and volunteer without a check and listen and apply
Oh
and do
yeah.
all those things, and they can take that into the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to see them in their own element and just to see them, grow and do tryouts and get on the team
Mm-hmm.
and just have that excitement, it's pretty cool. And to like be invited,
Yeah, that means
like
they
I'm
want you
invited,
around. They want you there.
like you invited me, like
Yes.
you got a ticket, you saved a ticket for me, like that means the world.
I love it.
So
And
it's no no. I always say
Imani's not
yes.
quiet, when she goes to these events. Like she's cheering them on, whatever it is. Like I've seen them
Did you hear me
spot
in the back
her.
Sunday?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well,
Like
yeah.
she is a real cheerleader. And she's a champion when it comes to pushing them and supporting them. And so I've always loved that about you. And I love the diversity of your support because sometimes we, as Christians, sometimes we can lean more toward church, 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 church. That's all we
Mm-hmm.
do when we don't live in church, and we live outside of church, and that's where the real test of our faith
Mm-hmm.
comes from, and how we move about and how we deal with people. And so I've always loved that about her.
Yeah.
So Imani, if there was a real challenge to being a leader at 21, what was the thing that required you to really um, grow your faith and grow yourself
Mm-hmm.
in what you believe? Was there a situation? What was the greatest challenge to being a leader at
Mm-hmm.
21? And like you said, most of them at the time, or still,
Mm-hmm.
some of them were like what, 4 years, 5 years younger than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your greatest challenge, Imani? Because what I want everyone listening to understand is you can be a leader at this age, at 21.
Mm-hmm.
It does, no one says that you got to be 30, 40, or whatever. What I want, certainly Imani's generation to understand, um, is that you can do it. You can do it. You're just going to have to fortify your faith. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to live a way that people will want to follow you. And is it easy? Was it
Oh
easy?
no.
No. What was your greatest challenge at 21? Not now,
Mm-hmm.
because I know, honey, you have become a little powerhouse, a little mini Felton. So at 21, what was your greatest challenge?
I I think I have two really.
Okay.
So the first one would be I had to stop kind of like idolizing other leaders that I came under.
Mm.
I don't think I ever said that out loud,
I
but
don't think I ever heard you say
no.
that.
So I had to really just submit to God and be like, what do you want? What leader do you want me to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been under great leaders, but there's certain things that I was trying to do that they did, and it
Mm-hmm.
was not working.
Wasn't working.
Wasn't working. um, so I just had to find little things, or God gave me just little things to do, whether it was small, showing up at their games personally,
Mm-hmm.
calling them, texting them, just overextending myself, really what I didn't really get, you know. And so it made me uncomfortable,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
the more I did it, the more they open up to me, and so it's like a natural thing now.
Wow.
So that was like a big thing for me, is to like stop looking at what past leaders did and just
Mm-hmm.
focus on what God wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a big challenge for me to adjust to. And then the other one, just be, I guess, like being something they that I needed at that age for them.
Yes.
Um, but it took me a while to like realize that I never had that, so it was hard for me to like be that.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah, so I'm an observer, so I watched them,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
even when I first started. Um, so when it came to like figuring out how I could help them, um, it was hard because they weren't vocalizing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so through relationship, through conversation,
Mm-hmm.
that also helped me to like move into a space where I'm focused on their prayer worship instead of dance, which is something is not normal for the ministry that I lead out. I don't, remember being told more so focus on prayer and
Yeah.
worship than
Yeah.
dance. So just becoming what I wish I had or thought I had, but I really did it to
Mm.
for them. And I'm very like, if we're in prep and they request, like, we do 5 minutes of worship and prayer, and sometimes it lasts longer
Yep.
before we actually
Mm-hmm.
prep,
Mm-hmm.
which is the most sweetest thing to see. It's just young ladies just forget time
Yep. Yep.
and just worship. And so if they request something before we start prep, I'm doing it. I really just, I'm at a point where, like, if you request this song, I'm
We're
playing
gonna
it.
go with it.
You want a flag? I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to
Mm-hmm.
meet in the park Bible study? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to show up here? Okay.
Wow. So you had to be to them who no one really was
Mhm.
to you
Yeah.
when you were a
Mhm.
dancer.
Mhm.
We don't really like to call them like a dancer,
Yeah.
but
Yes. I call them my kiddos.
yes.
Try
And
not to
so
labelize them.
I'm sure that was a challenge, and that made you, Imani, have to dig deep for yourself because when
Mhm.
we don't have examples to go by,
We don't know what we're missing.
we don't know what we're missing, and then we got to create the blueprint.
Mhm.
And it sounds like that's what you had to do. And I love the way it looks. I
Mhm.
love the way it looks. Like I see Imani sometimes doing Bible study in the park
Mhm.
with some of them.
Mhm.
And I think it is what their generation needs to do. Like it doesn't need to look like what we do.
No, I just text them. They tell me what place, and we trot there.
You trot there.
We just go.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Imani, if
Mhm.
you could leave a purposeful nugget
Mhm.
with someone from your generation, not so much a leader, just someone from your generation that either just maybe starting this walk or they are already in it, what would you say to them? Because you said some really impactful things about, having kind of parents that you have and having been in ministry for so long, but you still had to find your path,
Yeah, it didn't
your
write it
way.
for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no. And if we do try to create them for our kids, they're not going to
Mhm.
conform because it's a different generation. They're not us,
Mhm.
and it's okay. And I think for me as a parent, it's learning that it's okay
Yeah.
and being able to take your hands off and just trust them to find their own path, their own way. So, what would you say that is purposeful to encourage someone from your generation when it comes to their faith walk?
I would say number one, say yes. The yes might be so like far, but it's
Mm,
so near. Just say yes, and he'll provide all that you need. I said yes, not knowing that I was gonna go through an isolation season, I was gonna lose friends,
wow.
that he would bring me out of that and make me a leader,
Hmm.
that I was gonna learn um, lessons through that, that
Hmm.
I was gonna develop little sisters,
Little sisters,
I
yep.
have little sisters, um, and even sisters that are my age.
Right.
So just say yes. It might be tough. My first 2 years were tough,
Tough.
but he was good through it all. There were moments where it was tough, and he still came through.
Yeah.
Um, Even the simplest of somebody calling me or a text message. But stay steadfast, observe it through the end. It's worth it.
Yeah.
He is worth everything, every waking up, every night's sleep, every yes and amen. I do
I love it.
suggest for me, I've been reading Jonah chapters 1 and 2, so I do suggest you read Jonah. He just talks
Mm.
about Jonah ran from God, hit the deuces.
Ran. I'm out.
Well, and so God caught up to him, and it probably wasn't what Jonah wanted it to be.
Hmm.
And not only that, but Jonah was disobedient in his commitment with God, that Jonah put other people at risk. And so when I look
Wow.
at my life, I'm like, God, whatever you have for me, there's people that are attached to me that matter.
I can't risk it.
Those little girls,
Yes.
they're attached to me. And so me walking out my life with God
Mm.
and being steadfast, that could shipwreck their relationship with God because
Hmm.
they're looking at me. They're
Yes.
looking at you. They're looking at my mom. They're looking
Hmm.
at other people,
Hmm.
in the congregation or people that they're connected to with true faith. And
Yes.
so, Jonah's just a good story to kind of get your mind thinking or rethinking
Yes.
about your relationship with God. And so it definitely like made me think about my season where I decided to take off, and
Hmm.
it did get well for me.
Didn't quite work
Didn't
out.
quite work out. But he gave me grace even through those situations that I put myself through. And so I'm just thankful. But yeah, just stay steadfast, observe it through the end, get yourself connected with people. Don't force connections, but
Yes, that's a good one.
yeah, don't force connections. Like I said, I just got these connections, but yeah, stay steadfast.
Oh, wow. I love the part about the isolation because sometimes we don't understand the isolation and the shedding of people,
Mm-hmm.
situations, and it can even be jobs or whatever. But the isolation typically means that he is preparing you for something new and different. And whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, however it looks, shedding must happen. And it's not comfortable at
No,
all
it's not.
because you don't really know what's about to happen. He knows,
Yeah.
but we don't know. And so we struggle with, oh my God, why is she not calling me back? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
every time we get ready to hang out, like, it doesn't work. So, Imani, thank you. Thank you. I have enjoyed my time with you, and we will certainly do this again. I will do this again with Imani and some of her other friends from her generation, and we'll dig a little deeper, okay? So, what I want to leave you with today, and it's what I will always leave you with, purpose is not just a destination, it's a continuous journey of growth and self discovery. So, remember, whatever you do, do it on purpose.